All right?
Okay.
All right, this is a telephone interview to the state of Florida. It is the 10th of September 2004, approximately 10:30 a.m. Interviewer is Mike Russert. Could you give me your full name, date of birth, and place of birth, please?
My full name is Paul C. Francke, and I was born on January 27th, 1916 in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. What was your educational background prior to entering service?
Well, I had 2 years in Cornell University, which I gave up very stupidly. And after that, that was the main part of my education.
Okay. Now, you joined the New York State National Guard?
Yes, I did.
When did you join and why?
I think it was 38. And why? Because a couple of it was about 3 of us went out to join up, and we were going to join in the Navy. And one of us had a heart problem, and they wouldn't take him, so the other 2 of us went to the Armory and joined up in the Guard. The Armory was out in New York City.
Which armory was that?
Pardon?
Do you know which particular armory?
Well, it was the 27th Division Armory.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, could you tell us a little bit about your time in the National Guard? How long were you in the Guard?
Oh, we were in till, well, I was in until, till October 1941.
Okay. Now, did you go to anywhere for basic training in the Guard, or did you do your time in the Armory and go up? Did you ever go up to any of the camps?
Yes, I went to, the first one we went to was in Ogdensburg.
Okay.
And then we, in the Guard, I don't remember ever going to another. Oh yeah, Tennessee. We went to Tennessee maneuvers. And we were in, we were in Alabama. In 1940 we were federalized.
All right.
And we ended up in Alabama, in Fort McClellan.
Oh yes, okay.
And I can't think here. When Pearl Harbor happened, about a week from then, we were in California.
Now, do you remember where you were and how you heard about Pearl Harbor?
Yeah, we heard about it in Alabama because I was on leave in town, and they called up everybody back to, and that's where we first heard about it.
Do you remember what your reaction was?
Yeah, where the hell is Pearl Harbor?
That's what most feel did not know that. Okay. Now, why were you sent out to California?
Well, the whole outfit, I guess, the 27th Division ended up out there, as far as I know.
Okay.
We ended up in Riverside and camped out in their park. And we went to, where do we ship next? Huh? Oh yeah, then we were shipped to Fort Ord, where we stationed there until we were shipped out to, we didn't know where, of course. We ended up in Hawaii.
Okay. Now, when were you in the Guard when you were assigned to the 102nd Engineers?
Yes.
Okay, could you tell us about that? Now, did you receive any specialized training or testing or anything that put you into the Engineers?
No, it was, none of us really got trained in my estimation. But anyway, the only thing I got out of this in November of 41, I was sent to Fort Belvoir for 3 months training or not training, but education in surveying. And that has an interesting story to it if you're interested.
Yes, definitely.
Well, while we were in Fort Ord, there was 3 of us, and the outfit was on Louisiana maneuvers, and when they got done, a lot of them got leaves. So we asked for a delay en route leave from Belvoir. We were all from New York City. So we got 3 letters. So the first 2 were for the other 2 guys, and it said leave granted. And the third one said return to base. And I said, forget it. I said, look, you 2 guys opened your letters and said return. I didn't even bother, so let's go. So I was AWOL for 2 weeks, whatever. And when I got back, of course, the CEO wanted to see me right away, and I told him, oh, well, I said, well, I had a letter saying we're going on leave. Well, he says, yours didn't say it. Oh, well, I never opened it, I said. Of course, he knew my face. I was just telling a lot of bull. But anyway, I got away with it. Is that something you wanted to know?
Oh, yes, definitely. That's an interesting little anecdote. All right, now, what happened to you out in Hawaii?
In Hawaii, I thought I had a couple more things than the engineers. We built roads. Where was I? Anyway, landed in Hawaii, right?
Yes.
And we were let off, or not let off, but we had to stop at Honolulu to change ships to get us into Hilo because the one we were on was too big.
Now, did you go in a convoy or just a single ship?
We went in a single ship.
Okay.
Fact is, we get into Hawaii, we went in the Aquitania all by itself.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we were assigned to build a road across from Hilo. I don't know if you know the country, from Hilo to the Kona coast, right across the middle of the island. Mm-hmm. Because, well, anyway, we built the road. Then we were shipped back to Oahu, where we were building concrete emplacements. And one day, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but anyway, there was always notes on the bulletin board asking volunteers for aircraft pilot training. And we never heard anything, another buddy of mine and myself. So I heard the Inspector General was coming. So I went to Top Sergeant. I said, I want to see the Inspector General. Of course, he wanted to know why, so I told him we'd never hear anything. Well, they had us down to in the Air Force for a physical in less than a day after that.
Now, when was that?
That was in 40. Yeah, that was still 41.
Okay.
So then I was shipped back to the States to start my pilot training. That was the end of me for the engineers.
Mm-hmm. So where did you go for your pilot training?
Well, I started out in Santa Ana.
That's okay.
And then I keep doing that. Anyway, I went to Santa Ana, and then I went to Gardner Field for secondary training, and finally Luke Field in Arizona for to get my wings. I graduated in P-40s.
Okay. Now, what kind of planes did you train on? Did you train on P-40s?
I'm sorry, I didn't get.
Did you train on P-40s? Is that?
No, a P-40 was one of the main fighting ships at that time.
Right. What kind of planes did you train on?
Well, they were Stearman,
okay.
And what was it? But anyway, I can't even remember the name of it, but he ended up training in the P-40.
Okay.
That was Chenault's plane over there in India.
Right.
Okay, now, what can I tell you?
Well, after you graduated, what happened to you?
Well, I graduated and had a son born. I seen him for 2 days.
Oh, so when were you married then?
Oh, I got married way back in before the war.
Okay.
So anyway, I saw my son for 2 days and I was shipped out. I didn't see him again for 2 years. So anyway, we were all, a bunch of us shipped over to, we landed in Casablanca on Christmas Day of 41? 43, of course. And from there, we were sent to a training center, a fighter training center in North Africa. And we were all set to pick out a fighter that we wanted to train in, and one night they sent C-47s. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do.
Sent C-47s in from Sicily, and
hello? Hello? Okay, it's on.
Anyway, we finally were sent up to England for the invasion, and
So you were trained as a fighter pilot, and then you were assigned to C-47s?
that's right.
You had never trained on them?
No.
Okay.
So anyway, in England we trained. Oh, I never had a chance. I got a bunch of stuff I'm going to send you.
Okay.
And there's no picture of a CG-48 glider, which we pulled gliders and dropped paratroopers.
Okay.
And well, anyway, we resupplied and dropped several missions while we were in England.
Now, were you, did you carry paratroopers and gliders to the Normandy invasion?
Yes, I did. I didn't drop troopers. I dropped the resupply mission, and the stuff we dropped got into German hands because as we made a turn to drop, we got, oh, I don't know how much fire, but I could have reached out my window and grabbed a bunch of tracers. Anyway, we got back safely, but there was an awful bunch of C-47s floating in the ocean on our way back.
Now, was your plane hit?
No, actually it wasn't hit, thank goodness.
Okay.
So anyway, from then on, why, I could look up at the Invasion Beach on our way out, but it seemed pretty quiet by then. That was a day later. So anyway, we were back to England, and from there on, we went to several missions and hauled gas for Patton and food and stuff all over the place. And what? So then we ended up in France eventually, and at Poix, little town called Poix. We took over an ex-German base there. And from there, eventually my outfit moved to Germany, but before that I got out on a number of points I had. I was one of the first 3 guys to get out because of my National Guard time.
Okay. Were you involved in the Operation Market Garden that dropped the troops into Belgium?
Yes, I sure was. I didn't know you knew about it.
Well, I've heard of it. I just was wondering, could you tell me about that?
Well, we, like you say, we dropped paratroopers, and we particularly dropped the gliders in.
Okay.
And my squadron anyway, and it was pretty hectic there for a little bit. And
now, did you drop American units?
as I recall, I think they were Polish or.
Oh, you dropped the Polish.
Yeah, I think so. But anyway, I just don't remember exactly.
Okay. All right, what else would you like to tell us?
Well, pardon?
You stayed in the reserve.
Well, let's see. I stayed in the reserves.
Okay, now when were you finally brought back to the States then? You were one of the early ones that came back. When did you come back to the States?
October of 45.
Okay.
And then from then on, I returned to being a carpenter. And
How many missions did you fly?
as I recall, it was about 4 that were real missions. We dropped in Arnhem, and we dropped in, of course, Market Garden. There was a couple more, but damn if I can think of them.
That's okay.
So anyway, I got home and went back to living a normal life.
All right. Did you ever make use of the GI Bill?
Stupidly, no.
How about the 5220 Club?
No, I never bothered with that either. I got a job right away and didn't need it.
Okay. Did you ever join any veterans organizations?
I joined the VFW in Albany, New York, but I never, I just didn't get on with it, so I just quit going.
Okay. Have you joined any other veterans organizations since then, or have you not bothered?
Air Force Association,
Okay.
and that was about it. I stayed in the reserve and got my 20 years in, and retired as a major.
Okay. When did you retire?
In
78.
76, wasn't it?
I don't know.
76 or... My wife's looking.
Okay.
76.
Were you ever called up for Korea?
No, I was too old by then, I think,
Okay.
because I'm 88 now, so...
That's right. Did you ever stay in contact with anyone that was in service with you?
Oh, yes, we've had reunions every 2 years. The fact is, we're going to one in the beginning of October in Washington, D.C., and I think it'll probably be the last one. But nobody left.
Right, I was going to wondering that. Okay, how do you think your time in the service had a change or affected your life?
Well, I'm afraid it very definitely had an effect. Having a 2-year-old son when I got back and starting all over living, and but luckily it came out real well.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to mention that we haven't covered?
No, I think we've covered it pretty well. Like I say, I'll send you this stuff, and if it's my jacket, my dress-up jacket's in there in case you wanted one.
Okay, well, we would appreciate that very much.
And anything you can use, fine. If you don't want it, just destroy it or whatever.
Okay, well, I appreciate your interview, sir.
Well,